the word decent doesn't apply to me.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, your buddy, Admiral Teague. Hello YouTube, hello X. Do me a favor, this is a watch party that everyone can enjoy. There's pin posts all around on all forums that are watching. Look at the pinned post, either in my profile or here. And we're going to take up the journey of 1883 with giving you a way to watch as well. But right now, if you could hang out, we're going to recap where we've been to this point and talk about this wagon train to Montana. With me are my pals Radioactive and Wes Cagle. Guys, welcome aboard. Are you guys ready to saddle up for episode 8?
Absolutely, Teague.
Yeah. I'm ready. All ready.
In the last couple of episodes, there's been a lingering question that's come up sort of in an ongoing way, which is, why is this wagon train making so little progress? Why is this wagon train stuck in Texas? Why are we in episode 7 and we're only crossing into Oklahoma? And as near as I can figure, when I looked on external sources like the Yellowstone 1883 wiki entries, it says specifically they never get on the Oregon Trail. So this is the worst wagon train ride you could have. They meander too much. I guess they're looking to protect themselves in every way they can. Hey, Obi2, hello, greetings to you. Anyone who could tweet out that we're live helping out, John the Beagle Dad, hello to you. And hello to everyone out there. So this is it, episode 8. We're finally starting to make some progress against the currents that are against our heroes. And we're going to start moving north, finally. Up to this point, we spent a lot of time just sort of gathering up to get to this point. But we have had a couple of violent encounters, basically one an episode. And what this show has showed us is no one is safe. Anybody got any predictions of who we think is going to get it next, or who we were most surprised to see get taken out? Deleted with the old Type 0 phaser, or even the -1 phaser, the bow and arrow. We've got lots of ways to get rid of people in this show.
Well, since I didn't see last week's episode, I'm a little bit behind the power curve, Teague. So I'm not sure how many red shirts died last week.
It was the usual really high amount. It was the aftermath of a windstorm. We had a tornado. That was sort of our epic space battle. A CGI tornado that was really cool overtakes them and blasts this wagon train. So now most of them are without transport. They're rounding up most of the horses, and there are a lot of uncool people who have very little to lose or had very good places to stash the whatever they had from this tornado and all the weather that's coming out there. So they're looking for people who got messed up from the hurricane, or I'm sorry, from the cyclone, tornado, whatever you want to call it. We see the funnel cloud. It's pretty cool. They have to endure it. It's like, your ion storm space sequence if it was Star Trek. Fun stuff. But our heroes survive. We see that Elsa and the Guardian from the... he specifies what Guardian tribe he's from.
I think he's Comanche.
I think you're right, because the bad people are Comancheros, which is referring to like any villainous people running around the Comanche territory, right? So we're in ground familiar to people who like westerns. If you've seen Outlaw Josie Wales, this is like the last patch of land he passes through. The beginning of this area would be where he comes across Sandra Locke and all the other people who've been taken hostage by the Comancheros, who he also has a bad time with. So sort of the same kind of guys, just a mix of vagabonds who were cast out of both societies in the Old West, or people who just stopped trying to get anywhere. And I think at this point we have to say this wagon train's biggest mistake was going south to go north and going east to go west before they did anything, thinking that loading up with extra people and extra provisions and extra money and extra cattle would be the way to get across safe. It seems what they've really become is a large, slow target, and one of the most poorly coordinated wagon train journeys I've seen in a long time. Anybody?
Yeah,
Well,
it's like the Donner Party of wagon trains.
They're bucking for it, yeah.
Well, they had me confused at the Brazos River, Teague. So
At that point, we had to start really thinking about why did they end up here? What was the problem that got them south of where they were supposed to be? Because in episode 1 and episode 2, we're stuck outside Fort Worth, and we're seeing that Shay, who is the character by Sam Elliott plays, is sort of scouts the talent on the edge of the worst town in the world, because Dallas Fort Worth is like a hellhole at this point. Probably worse than it was in real life. Maybe they went to a part of it that was notoriously terrible, but like it is just god awful. It's a dump. So there's people shooting each other in the street. It's totally crazy in Dallas Fort Worth. They go to a place called Hell's Half Acre, and that's where they decide to form up this wagon train. And they see Dutton on the edge of town, and he's like taking on banditos who are trying to jack him, showing that he's a lot tougher than the other people going on this wagon train route. So it makes sense that if he's going somewhere, and he maybe even has no destination, try to get him to go where you're going, because everyone's chances will be better. And every step of the way, as logical as that's been, James Dutton's, like, his decision on how he can help everyone else out is, I'll cross the river alone at night and watch everybody else from the other bank. He hasn't been the biggest guardian. He has gadded down every threat, though. He won't help people with natural hazards, but he will proactively go after bad people. It's a strange shepherding approach that him and Shay have. Anybody like, what's up with Shay and James Dutton and the way they're leading this wagon train? And James Dutton, for his part, refuses to admit that he's part of leading the wagon train. The official leaders are Thomas, who is a former Buffalo soldier and now a Pinkerton, and Shay Brennan, who's Sam Elliott, who's a Union soldier and a veteran of the Civil War.
I think they're going with the OJT approach, Teague.
What's that?
On the job training.
It does seem that way. At one point, the wagon train has to confront the fact that they do what they want to do in Fort Worth. They decide they're going to stay there for a couple of days, and they're going to trade some of their beasts of burden for better beasts of burden. They have oxen, they need horses. They have enough cash to do that. So we're assuming these are the most well-off arrivals to America. We'll call them that. These people from Germany, which just barely exists as a nation for like a dozen years or so, as West Kegel and Radioactive and all of you know. So we find out that like not the only war veteran here are our Civil War guys, Dutton and Thomas and Shea, but we've got a guy who was in the Franco-Prussian War or whatever you call it of 1871 or something, and that's Joseph, and he even has some PTSD about that. He gets messed up in the previous episode. He has some problems that we're going to deal with in this episode, and basically, like as they finally say something radioactive said, Sam Elliott's like, maybe we just go to St. Louis and lay up there for a few days, and like someone says, well, at that point, take a train. Like they are cognizant of how like kind of crazy their route is, but we will find out whether or not this plan is going to work out. When last we left our heroes, they were getting ready to take on the natural hazard of the tornado, if I'm not incorrect. This one's called the Weep of Surrender, and basically we've had to replenish the people and the livestock of this wagon train once already. And since then, we have been attacked by a bunch of people who took out some of our protection. We're running with minimal amount of protection, maximum amount of things to take. Their plan really hasn't put them in a position where... Anyone else think that maybe they're traveling around with far too desirable a herd of cattle and far too large of a wagon train not to be a problem, not to have problems?
That may be true because obviously wagon trains are going to be a lucrative target. They don't move very fast.
You would want to be the fastest moving wagon train so that the next one gets in the way there and they don't even know the difference. Like, there they are, those people we saw yesterday. Their herd's a little smaller, I think. Yeah, well, maybe some of them wandered off. You know what I mean? It's like there's supposed to be a lot of traffic. And also the thing we've pointed out is if this shit was called even 1873, it would be a lot more believable, and it would make a lot more sense because they could go to St. Louis. They could go to another city. This is what I found out from my Yellowstone research. There's a flashback to 1893, which sets a lot of this into, it gives it certain things that it has to do. Because there's a flashback to 1893, we see people who have made it. We find out about people who didn't make it. We get the fates of a bunch of people in a flashback from Yellowstone Prime with Kevin Costner, the main Yellowstone show. They flash back to 1893, and we find out a lot about who makes it and who didn't.
Well, that's interesting. But see, this is where, at least from a television show perspective, making it makes it a bit difficult because you're painted into a corner as far as what you can and cannot do. But since I'm watching these shows in reverse order compared to what you're doing, it's, I'm looking at it.
Watching them in the same order, actually, because what happened is I didn't watch Yellowstone. And the rights are spread around, guys, just so you know. The Yellowstone rights, Yellowstone proper is on Peacock. For whatever reason, because I think what happened was when Paramount Plus was called CBS All Access, it crashed. It was gone. And I don't mean it like had a technical crash. I mean, it was just gone. Did anyone else have CBS All Access for the whole run? Because I had it for a while, but I got rid of it like 3 episodes into Picard. Anyone?
No, we don't have it here.
The Paramount Plus like imploded, exploded, and may have just folded very neatly. Like one day you turned it on and the app just said Paramount Plus. It was CBS All Access at first. So because of problems with CBS All Access and the idea that maybe it was going away, because like NBC and CBS do have some kind of weird development deal that goes back to a point where they had some affiliation through other people, they're able to put the first Yellowstone show. The only way to get any money out of it was, I guess, lease it to their friends over at NBC. So Peacock has regular Yellowstone. On regular Yellowstone, you've got a lot going on that tells you about 1883 and 1923. When I found out that Taylor Sheridan was as good as he was, and I realized we were going to watch Taylor Sheridan shows, it was difficult. I had to watch about 15 to 20 episodes of TV just to make a decision. I had to watch 3 or 4 episodes of Lioness. I had to watch 3 or 4 episodes of 1923, 3 or 4 episodes of 1883. All the shows are good. I had to watch a couple of his other shows and, make a decision like which one. And 1923 won because it had Han Solo. It has Harrison Ford. He's familiar to us, and he does a good acting job in this. I don't know, Wes. You've been here for most episodes. What's your impression of this version of Harrison Ford as compared to what we've seen along the way?
Yeah, I actually I had a discussion with my brother because he watched the original, the Kevin Costner one, and that's the one that he liked. He doesn't like the other two, and I'm the opposite. I don't really like the Costner one. I like these. I like the Harrison Ford one and the Sam Elliott one.
The Costner one could best be described as imagine a show that was like a pretty good version, and I'm not saying exactly like it, but sort of a little bit of Sons of Anarchy, but for cowboys going on, mixed with more traditional Western and cowboy elements. There's an amount of killing people and law breaking and stuff going on in Yellowstone that would never be able to fly in a town or an area with population density that low. Like something like 7 or 8% of the county has died by gunfire in the last like 5 seasons of Yellowstone. But we have great actors. We have, again, beautiful women. We have a great story. I think the deal is the most prolific and best developer is like Taylor Sheridan, but he has co-writers here and co-writers there because Yellowstone wasn't just only and always him. When the deal with Kevin Costner fell apart and he himself couldn't stand Kevin Costner anymore because Kevin Costner negotiated too hard, the Yellowstone show was always going to come to an end. To get some goodwill going and keep the franchise where he wanted to be, because of the grandpappy stories that were told in Yellowstone by Kevin Costner about how like this and that happened to the first Dutton and this and that happened to the Duttons on their way to Montana. Like they were locked into a lot of story details the way George Lucas is on the prequels, right? And when we do this show, we might be kind of like nailed to staying in Texas on this. Like I said, we're starting to move a little bit, but a lot of this is dictated by grandpappy stories in Yellowstone, and every Yellowstone show discloses stuff from the one before. So 1893 flashback in Yellowstone sets a lot of things in stone for Yellowstone 1883. 1923 blows away a few characters in the narration that opens up the show, and a couple of others get preserved. I won't tell you. Hell, Resolute Germ. Resolute should be on his way to us momentarily. I think he has access to it. Access. I'm pretty sure I sent it to him. I will reaffirm that one right now, but whether I did or I didn't, I'll resend it. But basically, right now, we're in Guardian territory. We've encountered a couple of Guardians so far. They've been more willing to do business with people and be friendly. They basically we paid a tax to go through the Comanche land. We gave them a few cattle, so that finally paid off for all the pain and suffering it's brought us to make us a slow-moving target. And we have some Comanche protection as we go through, basically Oklahoma, heading towards north, following the prairie and staying as close to water as we can. Because, hey, we need it. All right, guys. Pile into the theater. Share the likes, hit the follows. And as we watch this episode, there's no... Hey, and here he is. Resolute Germ, welcome to the show. You ready for some fun? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, just saying hello.
Hello to you. You ready for some fun with some American Guardians and some journeying across the plains of Oklahoma?
Oh yeah, it's definitely better than what I just went through.
Okay. Well, everybody, let me make sure the theater is set up correctly and everything looks as it should. I'm looking in the Cosme. Yeah, let me go select the correct tab and we can get this going. Okay, I see what I need to see in the theater. As far as the oppressive subtitles, I think that we're probably going to have to deal with them, but I don't know that I have the choice as to bring them up yet. Did you were with me for our last episode, weren't you, Jerm?
I believe so, yeah.
1883 Jerm. We got across the river. Did we get into it with the Comancheros in the last one? Roaming band of baddies? Or was it the tornado in the last one?
The last one, I believe, was the tornado.
Tornado, yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah. Well, it also had the bandits that swooped in after the tornado, right?
There are bandits everywhere. What happens is, I think, like, we do have some bandits swoop in after the tornado, and now what's going on is we're trying to round up our assets, get everyone back towards the wagon train, divide what firepower we have between the people who are going to try to fend off the bad people, the people who are going to, and we have someone has dusted off an entire village of guardians, and it's only the women and the kids. It's not the warriors, and when they meet up with the people who did it, they're going to say to them, like, why? Like, why would you, like, do what you did rather than taking it out on the people that you want to fight? Like, why would you go after their wives and kids? And they're like, huh, they'll be good and mad now. And that leads to a confrontation. And there are several confrontations set up. Like basically, everybody's gone a bit too far in a few places, and everyone's fed up with each other, and we're going to have a showdown between, like, several different factions, all on a collision course, and the tornado has just, like, scrambled everything. Had they recovered any of their assets yet when the tornado ended, or were we just stumbling from the wreckage, looking at what had happened and crying, and just, like, it was like after a nuclear explosion kind of thing, Jeremy?
I believe they're just picking up the pieces at the end of it.
We have an effective montage where they are literally crawling from the wreckage. All right, guys, welcome to our Yellowstone watch party. Pile on into that theater, hit the like and follow, share that we're live, let everyone know they have a chance to watch this great show. And here we go on 3, 2, 1. Well, there's an ad first, so we'll let that go by. Hopefully it won't be for section 31. Hopefully it'll be for the next Yellowstone show. Oh, no, we're jumping right into it. Okay, so listen, guys, it's 0 seconds. This episode's 55 minutes and 13 seconds long. If you enjoyed the setup, you know what? The analysis will be in 55 minutes. It's kind of dense to watch in real time, but jump ahead to that much, ahead in this YouTube podcast or wherever you hear it, and you'll get our wrap-up and synopsis of this episode. And here are, in fact, my opportunities to put on the oppressive... just call them British, damn you! The oppressive British subtitles. And, you know what, guys? Is anyone else's eyes kind of hurt reading this, like, British oppression? I just feel colonialized.
No, it's all good.
Ugh. I can't believe they don't have American subtitles. It's wrong! It's wrong. We need to make English American again. All right, everybody. All right, there goes monetization. At least they told people we're here. Enjoy the episode and come back for the analysis later. Here we go on 3, 2, 1, and take it away, Sting. Action. It is so weird to see MTV making shows, but like especially the best show maybe of the last couple of years.
Yeah, well, they might as well. They don't play music anymore.
Yeah, here we are. It's the aftermath of the tornado. Like, this wagon train has long since been a disaster. People are living with whoever's left alive, and they have whatever's left in one piece. And for all the bad things that happen, that wheel breaking that way is the last thing I would expect. I would have expected to have helicoptered through a wagon. It's too bad we didn't have more money for this one. 1923 is $35 million an episode. This one's still pretty expensive, but could you imagine, like, if they did a Twister thing when the tornado hit them?
I was thinking, Teague, what they should have done is just gone over to the Western Union, telegraphed AAA, and they brought themselves a couple of spare wagon wheels.
Or just get to, like, what do you call it, Charles Ingalls' place on the prairie and be like, can we use your telephone, Mr. Ingalls, sir? Because that's contemporary to this.
There you go.
This is 1883. Have we moved to, like... We still have mostly Civil War-looking military uniforms, so that's not going to be a mind-blower. They messed up. Instead of making it the great-great-grandparents, they made it the great-grandparents. I understand how you could get to this place. If they found gold at the end of the rainbow, they'd just leave it to go seek another fortune because it's something too much to carry with them. It's a good thing no one's thinking of Argon. And welcome everybody. Look at the pin post for a view. We got some people in the chat. Hey, Obi2. All right, so we made our little ad hoc plan. We had some great narration, and the idea is all of our assets are scattered across the prairie. The wagon train is trying to get their heads together. Here's all their horses. And there's some wild horses running with them. So I guess their idea is to like corral the wild horses that are mixed in with their regular horses. This is kind of a weird challenge. It doesn't feel like a side quest though.
I think most of those are just wild stallions. I don't see any saddles.
Here's the thing: they were the horses pulling the wagons, so they should have some marks on them from the yoke. But like no saddle. These weren't their saddle horses. These were their wagon horses. Like, see how some of them have gear around their necks?
Okay.
You mean the bridles?
Yeah. So, thank you very much. The horsey steering wheel.
Right, yeah.
Some of
I
them have
noticed they're
tack.
using manual.
Yeah, but before stick, the true manual transmission. Here's the thing. Between the CGI and the real horse wrangling and the other stuff, they do a great job, but I don't know if they're able to afford the kind of consistency to render the horses properly. Sometimes it does just look like they're all wild, but then they made a point of showing you that some of them did have like bridles or some tack of some kind or another on them. That's a compliment. See, it's weird. The Kevin Costner Yellowstone character seems to mostly be evil. Oh, great! Avatar, Wes Cagle.
That's to represent all of our Prussian people that came over at some point.
If there's any criticism of 1883, it was up front. We said the theme song could be any show, but it's come to be very sort of appropriate. Like, it has weight to it. Because this is a somber show.
No, definitely.
A lot of these characters, people, are already dead. And a lot of the people that you think are safe, they're just going to die. However, if you had watched Yellowstone, you would know a lot of these people are going to die. And you would know who and when. And there's some people whose descendants are alive in Yellowstone that mean they had to have survived. It's like there's too much of that going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of a giveaway, yeah.
Yeah. We know at least one Dutton survives to carry on the line.
But then there's some other people in 1923 and 1883 who, because there's people with the same last name existing in Yellowstone Prime, we know that that character absolutely survived. I don't know how else to really put it. There's a rival, sort of a frenemy to Kevin Costner, and his predecessor is in one of the other shows. So I guess they got a couple of horses for free. That one has no bridle. So this couldn't have worked out better.
Oh yeah,
How
no.
are you gonna break those wild Mustangs on the fly?
Well, it's a good turn for them for once. They got a bit of good luck, not only getting some of their horses back, but actually adding. So
if I'm part of this wagon train, I'm like, let's just leave. This is more stuff for people to want to steal. Like, if we break these Mustangs, we'll have more horses. You know what? If we don't get out of here, we're all going to die. It doesn't matter how many horses a dead guy has.
Can't really get out of there without the horses, though.
Well, the thing is, they had their own draft horses, and they picked up some more horses who started running with theirs. It was almost like playing Civilization or something. I don't know how totally realistic it is, but the idea that these people who are going out there to settle, the people from the East Coast and the people from Europe and the people who are already there, like the Guardians, that they're all just more mutually fascinated and sometimes they have conflict more than they all dread each other and are looking to have it out is a cooler aesthetic that, you know what I mean, than just like everyone dislikes each other from the get-go.
A little more accurate. Survival what was really important. Any type of mutual disdain would come a distant second.
Yeah, although
And
probably
hello, Lombardi.
Hey, Lombardi, good to see you. Welcome. It's great to see you, my friend. We're doing a little bit of an epic day today. We're giving a watch party to all our pals. Then I'll be back later on tonight with a little bit more of the traditional talk show. When David Lynch died, it sort of co-opted yesterday's script, right?
Oh, David Lynch died. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Visionary David Lynch. He was one of the guys who earned the right not to play by the rules and not to pay off things, because in most movies he did play by the rules and pay off. So when he decided to go completely weird, it's like, because he himself was the inheritor of the Twilight Zone mantra, he could do that weird observational strangeness. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, he was a little bit too strange for me. But I respect his work, though.
Yeah, here's the thing with the Elephant Man, though, which is real life, and he likes strange stories, so he doesn't want a real life story less weird than the Elephant Man. Anthony Hopkins goes from kind of notable to, like, bankable in that movie, and also, like, he proved that he could do a real life story that was close enough to the truth without throwing you into some weird craziness like Blue Velvet did. And he could, quote unquote, play by the rules and give you a real story that was real enough to justify the times that he kind of took you in and fooled you with the Fire Walk with Me and other stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a David Lynch movie. You're for 2 hours or 90 minutes, you're going to the Twilight Zone. Anything can happen. So it might pay off, it might not. In the case of Twin Peaks, it just never paid off. But
Yeah, that's really out there, that one.
I give him credit for being open about it. Hey, it won't make sense.
Now he did that movie Eraserhead too, right?
Yeah, that's a hard one to watch. All right, so we're not even going to try to negotiate. We pull out, although this might be the right way to talk to them.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about put them down, but lower them. And I might be like, F you, Brennan. I just point out, we have come across enough bad guys for this, but none of these people had weapons when we left Dallas 6 months ago to get 2 miles from Dallas now. So yeah, we're still in Comanche territory.
Which at this point is most of their trip.
The outside sources like the Yellowstone wiki reveal they never make it onto any part of the Oregon Trail.
Well, at least they avoid the dysentery.
It's still the most poorly thought out wagon train ever because they could have been on the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
And there's a few unexplainable things laying around here and there that look like modern garbage I saw.
She's gonna fix the fix.
So she's gonna teach her how to actually sew.
And what she needs is a pair of buckskins. She doesn't need any kind of white man's clothes.
Here's the thing, her clothes aren't fixed, they're patched. Now they're retrofitting everything she owns into like an Indian a Guardian East Coaster like View of a Cowboy hybrid. She's gonna end up basically looking like Custer's Guides.
You know, half her problem would be solved if her jeans weren't 2 sizes too small.
Yeah, but that
I
would
guess
ruin
they
our viewing
had to-
experience.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing that really, I don't know if this was what made 1883 like better for them is we don't have people using muskets. Bullets make for an easier story. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's got a conquistador helmet.
Yeah. Enduring nature of how long they've been holding out. It's 300 years old already.
Yeah.
Maybe more. Yeah, I feel like the wolf. Anybody else? Wolves, right, guys?
I'm hungry like the wolf.
Yeah, lost in a crowd.
Don't you mean Wolverine?
Yeah, Wolverines. They're going to that same basic area.
Yeah.
In the first movie, they're in like they were on one side, maybe they're on the Cali side, but they're in the mountains. See, how does Shay
Wow.
not know what barbed wire is?
I think it
It's
is
been around less than 10 years.
after Civil
really?
War creation. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. It was invented after the Civil War, Teague.
Or it might have actually sprung out of the Civil War even.
If
I'd have
I
to
could
look
just
that
go
up.
back in, if I could just go back in time and invent it in like time for like the American War for Independence, I could just be like the wealthiest arms merchant in America. We have to get that time machine finished. We'll be on a trail. If there's one left, they're building a 6-lane highway.
Yeah, it says barbed wire was first invented and used in 1874. So yeah.
It's around for 9 years. My thought is just that he's been traveling across cattle country for years. He knew what a tractor was. He knew what penicillin was. He knew what hypodermic needles were. He knew about bacteria and
Oh yeah,
germ science.
if he's traveling across cattle country, he should have probably at least
That's-
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It got less and less common the farther west you went. So, I don't think he's really gone to California too much. So,
could it have been
That
better
would have
if
been
it had
the-
been... Go ahead. Sorry.
that would have been the most prominent place because it was actually a state.
Creeping
A
in
lot
from
of
the
the
west.
Southwest was mining.
I'm still with Radioactive's take that 1853 would have solved most of the problems of this show.
There you go. See, you're outfitting there with some buckskins.
I
That's what
I
you need.
want most of everything they have here, by the way. First patented in the United States in 1874. Americans had created earlier versions. See, maybe a little bit of dialogue about like Barbed wire is like, is that what I see him? I've seen some stuff in the distance. You know, hitched
Yeah.
to fence posts. Is that what you're talking about? What even is it? You know, if he had passing familiarity, but hey, it looks like people are watching on X, which is appreciated, and on YouTube. Geez, you know, everybody watching on YouTube, it's appreciated. Anyone else who wants to jump over there, hey, it's always fun. But you know what? The theater is banging, and we got people over on X. So, whatever, we see where the future is.
And hello to critically thinking and drinking.
I sense the stirring in the force. It's critically thinking and drinking. That's why we got a good amount of people watching over there on X. X, it's in the pinned post on my profile if you want to check out my theater. Thank you, critically thinking. How you doing, buddy? Critically thinking and drinking is a pal of mine. He's also a great YouTube follow, a great X follow. He's probably good on YouTube too, but check him out and follow him on X. And thanks for the boost, buddy. It's good to have you along. I got your DM. DM me back. I did respond. I was stuck in the editing bay for like 5 straight hours yesterday. I didn't do any looking at my phone, or I would have gotten nothing done. It's good to see you. We're getting to the end of this journey. Oh, I see the DM. Tomorrow. You got it. I'm there. I'm there. Let me know the details. It's good to see you too, man. This show is as emotional as you said. This is such a serious show. Our only thing that we realized was they take a weird path when we trace their path on the map. And the other thing is the show admits they don't actually get onto the Oregon Trail. So this wagon train really is just totally ill-fated. But every episode is really fun and really enjoyable. Whether or not they're making a lot of mistakes or just taking the most cautious route is hard to know. But check out our pal Critically Thinking and Drinking. There's his X right there. Oh, I finished the show, so I know. Yeah, this is a good one. You too, my man. All the best. Cheers. Thank you for the boost, and hello, X.
Wow, we've seen a little bit of division here.
Yeah.
I doubt he cares if they make it.
Smart move is to hold up in Denver till spring. His MLA's character's right.
And if you look in the pin post, there's a surprise for everybody. She likes this Guardian. Hello, YouTube. Ah, it's spiked up. Hi, everybody. You just needed a little TLC. really good use of music in this. And I gotta say,
Yeah,
I dig
definitely.
her tricked out. I dig her tricked out Indian gear.
Yeah, those are some quality chaps they made for her. Mhm.
I'm gonna guess they're like deer or elk skin, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, looky here. Tatanka.
To be fair, it doesn't take much to hunt buffalo.
Thinking on that, maybe the compliment is just not that she's hunting buffalo. It's that she's white, she's a chick, and she's hunting them like they hunt them.
Wow, good shot too. One shot, take him down. Nice.
A little bit historically inaccurate with that, but okay. She need a rifle to do that.
We've said a couple of times that yeah, it's Taylor Sheridan's Old West, it's Taylor Sheridan's Yellowstone, it's Taylor Sheridan's, weapons too. Because again, this show should be called like 18. The level of difficulty they have, it should be called 1853 or 1843.
That's when he's supposed to say, that is one tasty burger.
I got it from the big Tatanka burger.
That's right.
That was a little Dances with Wolves, but it seems appropriate. It's a hunting society. I would just say this: these people are like have an outlook and a parenting outlook that's like more like 1993. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, that's cool if she wants to date and hang out with people.
Yeah. Yeah, Taylor's definitely imprinted modern societal norms onto this show.
Well, they've already had that argument with the dead cowboy. So they might as well not try it a second time.
Shay's weird ambivalence makes me wonder if he's the best person. And hey, everybody on X, thanks for joining me here. Critically Thinking and Drinking sent you. We thank him. Here's his link is in the on the banner. I'm gonna pull that down now that it's been up for a bit. Thank you so much, Critically. Right before you come.
Ouch.
You know what I like? They only have just so much modernity when they speak, but it's enough to make it relatable. They don't use modern slang, but they do sometimes have a little bit of modern directness, but they speak 19th century-ish enough most of the time for me.
It's not bad. They do a decent enough job.
They're not dedicated to only doing it, but it's going on more of the time to create an immersion that you're dealing with people who are substantially different from us, but still, like 120 to 140 years before us. It's almost like they're from 1883. It's like, oh, I'm taking your daughter, but you get this horse.
Yeah, I think the father's tolerance is going to wear out now.
It's weird how Taylor Sheridan's point of view and the character's point of view stays around the view of 90s Star Trek, is the way I'd put it. I'm always a little bit confused by his level of disengagement and his, you know what I mean? Like, he's 170 years past his actual, or 100, maybe 105 years past the time that he would live in. It's like, this is a sensibility that you would see in Star Trek TNG. It's like, the difference between us and the Guardians is what makes everybody unique and interesting.
He's just being very practical.
He has been through two major traumatic experiences between the war culminating in the Battle of Antietam and a really long imprisonment during the middle to the end of the war.
And let's not forget the stuff he had to do at the beginning of this whole journey. But let's face it, she has a better chance of survival with Sam there than she does going with them.
Are you saying that having to meet up with Tom Hanks was the worst thing to happen to this character in the movie? Had to hang out with him for a while there? Holy shit.
That and the thing with his sister.
That was... He was unfazed by that, though. It was just, like, pragmatic. It's like, Claire's depressed. What are you going to do? This is the first time, by the way, we've seen James Dutton kick back and have some fun. He's having some booze. What makes him feel safe enough to get drunk? They just saw a bunch of shady people and sketchy people and possibly angry guardians are around them. We had this conversation before with Joseph. We seem to need two levels of leadership here. Joseph's going to keep people in line, and this guy's going to and Dutton's just going to make the decisions, and Sam will simply execute. It's hard to understand what they're trying to do. It's easy to understand how their wagon train gets in so much trouble.
Yeah,
we have three leaders.
Giving Joseph any type of authority was sort of a mistake from the beginning. He should just be the one translating for what the people who know what they're doing tells them to do.
I have less problems with Joseph being a shot caller than I do with Dutton being a shot caller. Dutton's needs are aligned with the wagon train, and he's just been disengaged too much. But like the fact that they made Joseph step up and lead and unite the people in the wagon train in purpose, that to me, like, I liked that and it made sense. You're right. The way they told the story makes it unnecessary. What's going on now is we've done the crisis of leadership with three different characters, and like all of them have like risen to it except our central character. And I don't know if that's supposed to be setting up some trait of Kevin Costner's, but I don't know if James Dutton's always behaved like completely honorably. He's been laissez-faire a few times here. But no one's worse than Shay, I guess. While she's only 18, she's middle-aged at in this point in history, isn't she?
Not quite.
Childbirth germ. I mean, she just made her point for me. You know, I'm a woman. It's 1883. If she has 3 kids, it's 50-50. She makes it to the other end of that in one piece. Sad.
She doesn't understand is that her grandchildren won't be welcome in the same society that her mother's going to be in.
Her children won't. Her grandchildren have a very good shot, right? Because her grandchildren are going to be born in 1940.
No, I mean the mother's grandchildren.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, I'll bring your grandchildren to visit.
It's going to depend.
Besides, they're not exactly heading to society in the first place, so they'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Half-breeds in this time frame aren't accepted by either of the parents' culture.
Oh, Nikki's out there. Hello. Guys over on X, if you could do me a favor, spread the word, let people know I'm here. Exit out. Even if we can't really pack the theater for this, sets us up good for tomorrow night's Star Trek show, which is what it's all leading up to. We have actually we're in the middle of this one. We have 25 minutes left, roughly, but there's maybe 2 minutes of those are credits. The credits are long enough but they're nothing like Disney credits
So we're not looking at 15 minutes worth of credits.
in 25 languages. No, it ends. Unfortunately, the streaming era doesn't give us coming attractions. But as we can see, like some people are like happier than others, but generally it's setting in on everyone that they have their own destiny, whatever's going to happen from here. And they're kind of happy about that. You notice Joseph and his wife are committed to speaking in English in this show?
Yeah, she keeps telling them no more German. Speak American. Speak American, not English.
Right. We don't speak it. Speak American, people. It's a language that revolutionized the nation of England. Right, see, they're still talking about breaking the horses that they picked up. It is some of the weirdest distractions. It's kind of like you really need to get to this place. There are only so many days you can travel for. This is the Old West.
Yeah, but you need to process your resources.
They kind of have enough horses. There's only one stallion to break based on that. I think they only hived one off from the whole herd of Mustang that was leading them anyway. This part's pretty good, by the way. This part's pretty funny, by the way. If I remember correctly, by the way, the Lewis and Clark guys were starving to death from eating only deer. So I hope they're getting other stuff.
Rabbit.
And deer taste like prairie grass. Or in the northeast, pine forest. This guy's the best cook in the world as far as self-interest. It's like, I'll just turn everyone off to eating in general and they'll be happy to eat my food. And wow, we're almost 100 concurrents. And that's with YouTube doing everything they can just to make sure no one's aware that we're here. 2 of you on YouTube, 96 of you on X. Amazing. That just kind of proves you a thing or two right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot more chatter on X than there is on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm set up for the future. It's a shame that I'm not more well ensconced in the past, but we're up to, I think, 2110 in subscribers, so I thank everyone who joined. It's been a really great month, like 72 people this month. What a great, great month. It seems to be deeply related to Star Trek, though. Although I will say this, the 1883 stuff has put on more subscribers in the last month than Star Trek has. By like 3 to 2, maybe more.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's good to have 2 of those avenues to get people in.
Just establishing myself as a Taylor Sheridan and Yellowstone world person. I don't know what else to call the Taylor Sheridan verse, because he's trying to get away from Yellowstone. The new show is called The Madison. 104 concurrents. 100 on X, 4 on YouTube. That says it all. Thank you, X. Thank you so much, X. I really appreciate it. I'll thank Critically Thinking and Drinking again. This trip to the theaters on Critically, just go to my pinned post.
You got a timestamp, Teague?
Right now, in this episode, we are at 43 minutes exactly. How's that? We have not stopped since we started rolling. And now it's becoming apparent that a few people have gone a bit too far in a few places. As George Lucas might say. So here's the thing. A few of our characters are going to make it to the next show. Or at least past the end of this show. But if you watch the beginning of 1923, some of them get swept away in the opening narration. Their horses are still surprisingly well shod, right? I guess they passed enough towns?
Yeah.
See, I don't understand. I guess the storm was really bad because his bridle is now made of just simple rope and it looks like he put it together a few hours ago, right?
Yeah. Well, he probably made it fresh for the new horse.
It's just for that. Yeah, he's riding the horse he just broke. I don't know how smart that is. The Guardian is just like, I dig living out here under the stars. It's like, come to Oregon. He's like, guys, you're heading towards New York. So here we go. It's been said twice. She's going to marry this Guardian.
So that's sort of the kiss of death for him.
Yeah, love's not too kind to Elsa. She's made it a lot further than Mary Abel. Alright, so they've admitted here their daughter's gone completely feral. She only wants to go to Oregon to know where they live, and then she's coming back here. Which still makes me... It's strange to just see these people having moments where they're kind of happy. I guess the good thing is no one died in the tornado and they have some stuff still.
Yeah, and they haven't met with severe tragedy in this episode. So
This has been the least terrible episode so far, but there's still time left.
oh, yeah, there is.
As we've seen, anything could happen at any time.
Considering
There's
how
more
short the series is, I'm betting there's a tragedy coming.
This series is a little longer than I thought. It's 10 episodes, so... Some of the other ones are shorter. I think every series is a different length. I can again only assume they're nailed down to where they are on the map by statements from Yellowstone. Because they just drop these stories left and right about what happened to Grandpappy. Mariah me. What does that mean? Well, the wind is called Mariah. You can figure the rest out. Just come over here, baby. I want a Mariah job. And welcome everyone from Axe. What an honor. Thanks, guys. You really like us. Like this stream? The only thing about this relationship I would say is we think she's kind of young, but to them she's not. Even in 1883, that part's not crazy, right? Anyone?
Right.
Oh yeah, no. 18 is actually way past. So it's already starting to get into the spinster if she's not married off.
You've got about a 5-year time to get married. It's like from 17 to 22, they want to try to get them married.
Yeah.
And like, there's no one in the picture, and they're not going anywhere where they're going to meet people. So maybe that's why they're like, well, she's already on her way to being a spinster at 21, at 20.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, she said 18.
Kids, yeah. If you don't have three kids by the time you're 30, it's considered a failure for you.
On after 10 tries, right?
Well, you figure they got to have about 5 or 6, 7, 8 kids because only about 2 of them are going to make it to adulthood.
That may be a little young, Nikki.
So now this is their new thing. There's a fort out there. If we can make it to the proximity of the fort, maybe we won't have to travel for quite some time. So again, they're in no hurry, and the only criticism I have of this story is we haven't had a good idea of how much time has passed since they told us about 2 episodes back in kind of a weird way. Interesting way that made sense, but wow, I can't believe they translated that.
Yeah, that's...
Is that showing that it's AI? Shouldn't it just say speaking in Native American Guardian? See, this makes more sense.
Yeah.
How come he's not translated phonetically?
Well, I think the AI might be a little bit biased. Guardian speaks Guardian and needs translated. Blondie speaks Guardian. No, that's just English weird words.
Yeah, you know what? This is your primary show. It's your big money maker, a Yellowstone show. You should probably have had a human really look at this hard. That's and look at how she looks now. It's ready for Woodstock.
You notice they changed filming locations.
Did she split and meet up with them again a little later? All I know is I like her outfit. Nice and
A
revealing.
little hippie chick for me.
Yeah, it's totally she's ready for Woodstock, but the fact that it's completely open. Wow. So everybody who's on X, I can't thank you enough. And hello on YouTube, and when you come through later, hit the like and follow, comment, let us know what you think. And we just watched episode 8 of 1883. It was called The Weep of Surrender. It was our first episode with no body count. Am I right on that one?
I think so.
Really just incredible stuff. I thought it was visually overwhelming, visually enjoyable, very engaging. We had to do something where we showed a life where things were a little less extreme. Like we saw people laughing, having fun, and no one had to be deleted violently in this one. So I guess we'll go around the horn and ask my pals what they think, starting with Resolute Germ. How'd you enjoy the episode 8, Weep of Surrender? Weird title. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, definitely a weird title. I don't really see where it fits in. I would have gotten something a little bit more relatable to the relationship with the two people, but I guess that's just a matter of taste. But it was a good catch-up episode. Everything calmed down. We get into these last 2 episodes. We catch up to where everything started off. So I'm looking forward to the next 2. But this one was a little bit slow, but needed. I'd say it's about a B-.
B- sounds about fair for this episode. You're saying in context to all Yellowstone that episode 8's a B-.
Yeah, in context with everything else, we needed a moment to catch our breath before we get into the grand finale.
There's a final act here that I've seen, and I'm going to say I thought it was real good for the from where we go from here. It sets things up very well. We've only got episode 9 and 10 left, so obviously we're going to see some things happen pretty quickly. Next up, Wes Cagle. What did you think of episode 8, The Weep of Surrender of Yellowstone 1883? Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Hi.
What you guys were alluding to about the title, I was expecting some tragedy, and
Yeah.
there wasn't anything there. Yeah, so it was pretty little misleading, but I thought it was one of those episodes where they take a moment to maybe flesh out some characters, maybe give them a little bit of growth, maybe spend a little more time on the story of the characters rather than the story of the journey. So pretty good. I thought it was good. Again, you can't have complete bedlam every episode. I mean, you only got so many people. Can't be killing everybody off.
There's been so many people killed off since we started this wagon train. And that's even after episode 1 and 2 where there was a high body count. But those people were unaffiliated because we hadn't formed up the wagon train yet. It's kind of like an episode of Star Trek Voyager. It's like we're 2 years into Voyager. We've seen at least 40 or 50 people from the Voyager killed as red shirts or reported as killed in combat, or like sections of the ship that were lost or kidnapped by the Borg. And then, damn it, season 3, there's 144 people on the ship. It's like, are they recruiting? But yeah, did they bring more people into the wagon train? It's almost like Monty Python's Army that way. The only flaws that I find in this story are kind of related to like their progress and how many people we lose, because this is just a very devastating wagon train. Do you want to give it a letter grade?
Well, I agree. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of a B. There all these episodes for this particular incarnation of Yellowstone have been at least in the B range. I just think it's a well done story so far.
We've taken some time out to explain why we've made less progress than we should. It's still a little baffling, but they paid attention to it. They're applying music when they're supposed to. It's fairly professional. All that stuff is helping any shortcomings. But that brings us to my compadre, who knows the route and discovered their error of their wagon train, which really goes unacknowledged, and the Yellowstone wiki confirms they never actually get onto the Oregon Trail. They're still meandering in a direction towards the place where you could kind of get close to it. Radioactive, your opinion of episode 8, The Weep of Surrender, Yellowstone, 1883.
Well, like West and Resolute mentioned, it's a bit slower paced. It's more focused on development of the characters. It's not an action episode. I'm not sure. I mean, to me, it's like they're still kind of moving at a very slow pace, given where from a geographic perspective, I'm not sure exactly where they're supposed to be, if they're in Nebraska or if they're in, or Kansas.
They're in Oklahoma. They're somewhere in Oklahoma.
See, they're moving very slowly. If you think it was a true wagon train, given the months they've already been out there,
they're truly unhurried.
They've gone nowhere. They've gone nowhere. It's no wonder they're looking at going to Denver. They'll be lucky to get to Denver by next year at this rate.
Double back to Fort Worth. You've only made it a few miles.
Yeah, basically. But I think overall the episode, I'll give somewhere between a B and a B plus, just in terms of just the way the story is being built out versus some of my other little gripes about it. But it's not too bad, but it is a slower paced episode, and it's not action focused.
Yeah, we have some problems with squaring up the amount of time, and I've noticed that's if Taylor Sheridan has a shortcoming, it's that he might have to do a telescopic kind of time. It's like, in Taylor Sheridan's Old West, the spring is 60 weeks long.
It is the first time we actually see Montana, though.
Yeah, we're
filming
gonna get
location
there.
wise. Filming location wise, that's if I'm looking at it right, I think that's Clyde Park. Because that is the filming locations for this show. So I think this is the first time we see them shift filming locations from Texas to Montana.
It looks different, finally. It looks different. They were geographically faithful to their location in the story. They're like, this is part of Texas. And like, just like, the thing was that they didn't seem to go anywhere in Texas. Then, like, they make it to North Texas. Then we stop again for a while. When we cross that river, they devastate themselves. They stop again for a while to come to terms with that. Then they get jumped. Then they have to double back and gat some people down. And yeah, in this episode, finally, we calmed down, we slowed down. And it was a good episode in the sense of it wasn't boring. We saw everybody's dreams, especially the people who came from Germany. And this was like, it started out with the aftermath of the tornado and picking up the pieces of the repercussions. Sort of this beautiful, like, roundup, you know, it was action without having any violence, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, breaking the horses and getting them back to the wagon train and getting that new horse ready to be rode and all the other things. And I don't know if that's an accurate impression of how much time it took. I don't know how much time they spent, again, in this one place. Like, how long does it take to break a horse? I don't know. But, so it was about, like, we see what they have, because they're picking up the pieces of what was going on before the tornado hit the wagon train. And then we see what they're living for and what they want. Like, Joseph loves his wife. We finally see, it's the second time, but we see the dynamic back and forth between them where they're being really cool to each other. And you can see that the actors are able to play back and forth off each other. They seem like they're in love. They're convincing as a couple. I believe Joseph and his wife love each other. I believe they're real. The Duttons, we finally have fun. Like Tim McGraw finally knocks back a few drinks and has like a few laughs with Shay, and we're a little relieved. Sort of a strange statement about the barbed wire, arguable either way. It does make sense. My thought was like, even though it is still fairly recent, he's going through country that has cattle in it, but Jern points out probably creeping in from the west faster than from the east, the barbed wire thing. So that, not as crazy as it might sound, but again, we really, because they flashed back to 1893 from Yellowstone instead of 83, or whatever they should have done to set up the World War I generation, they didn't calculate ages when they just had that throwaway dialogue or whatever it was that they did. I don't think they were trying to set up the other shows. I think it was just something to serve Yellowstone, and it ended up being, you know, now that we have this viable prequel, some of it has to answer to things that have gone before because we didn't really plan it. Like the Star Wars prequels. But I enjoyed this episode, and again, we saw their stakes, we saw what they have, we saw what they want, what they're fighting for. So I would give this one an A+. I enjoyed it as a TV show, and I enjoyed it as an installment of the ongoing story. On its own, even, it would have been kind of cool. Just like if you had just had it dropped into it, it's like, what was one day like on the attempt to get onto the Oregon Trail? And it was really cool. Elsa looks gorgeous in her new outfit. I dig looking at her. She's pretty. The show is not afraid to show us a beautiful woman. I like that about the show. And she's pretty believable in her transformation because she's been sort of doing her own thing since episode 3 when we started this like wagon train. We're gonna find out.
Yeah, she's definitely developing as a character.
Yeah, I think maybe she might be like almost pretty much all the way there. Like she has her own. No one can tell her what to do. She's got her own will to power. At 18, it doesn't sound insane to Margaret Dutton that she just has nothing to say anymore in her daughter's life, and James is just like, yeah, no, what are we gonna do? You know, she's not that interested in what we have to say, and we can't necessarily stop her because they point out that they were maybe just a little younger than her when they started hanging out together, and they're now married and happy for however long. So in this episode of 1883, we saw that they were able to, for lack of a better term, they husbanded their resources. They uncircled their wagons because they finally weren't under threat for most of the episode. Because for the longest time, they've been constantly under threat. And we're well set up to continue our journey north. we could teleport to Montana. We won't. I've watched the last 2 episodes. They're really good. And we still have not caught up to the events that start out at the beginning of the show. Before we leave, anybody want to give it any thoughts on the story, just in general so far, the whole journey, and who do you think might make it and who do you think might just have the cloud hanging over them? Any thoughts or predictions, guys?
Well, I was thinking that at some point the although she's had a lot of tragedy hoisted on her so far, I really thought she was gonna Naomi. I thought, is that her name, the Romani girl? I thought she was gonna bite
Thomas's
it.
girlfriend.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna bring tragedy to Thomas, and she was gonna bite it.
Her chances are now significantly better, I think, because she spends most of her time pretty close to Thomas.
Oh yeah, this is true.
And he's like tied with like second most dangerous person on that wagon train with like Shay.
Yeah.
Number one most dangerous person, I'm assuming, is James Dutton. And I guess, right? That's our power level. James Dutton most dangerous, Shay second most dangerous, Thomas and everyone else is kind of tied. And now Joseph is making a bid for badass. He's ready to pull out that pistol left and right. We were not taking any shit from the Guardians when they showed up.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if anything, again, we have said the fact they don't make it onto the Oregon Trail, that they could have had some other plan. It's all dictated by the Yellowstone show. Yellowstone proper over. The show's spread across 2 networks, so it's kind of hard to get caught up with all of them. And our Yellowstone journey will continue when they finally do the Madison. I might have to get Peacock, because Yellowstone proper is on Peacock.
Now, is the new show, the Madison, is that supposed to take place after because the original Costner one is before the Harrison Ford one? Yes.
No. It's
No.
like this. The shows are released out of sync and in a completely weird way.
Okay, I was just trying to
Also
place
in
him.
modern time.
I was just trying to place him historically, so.
Here's the deal. Like in our world, what happens is in around 2018, the first show comes out, Yellowstone, and it's going really well. People love it. Grandpappy Tales dictate a story that no one really thought through, but like by the time they start thinking about it, I guess they put the brakes on the damaging dialogue and the committing dialogue and try to cut down on what they had to do. But this Oregon Trail trip never gets to the Oregon Trail and really gets all fouled up in Texas for most of the trip. If anything, we have to say a lot of it's on them for staying in an area that they repeatedly keep saying is dangerous and they need to leave. They make a larger and larger circle around the dangerous area. They're like, yeah, we'll manage to cover every inch of this dangerous territory before we leave. I don't know why they spend so much time in a dangerous area, but they end up having nothing but problems. They have to cross the same river twice. Second time goes a little better. Right now, we did have to calm down, recover from the tornado, and see what was going to happen next, and see why we are going through this, because the people who are left and the bonds they have together, and why they want to finish this journey instead of just giving up right here and now. So, yeah, this one was the slowest of all, but I think, we only have 2 episodes left, so we can look for a lot of resolution, and the storyline, at least for this chapter, it's going to be over when we consider the events of 1923, and I guess at the end of the final episode of 1883, I will disclose the things that they say in the very first 5 minutes of 1923, because why not? It's the first 5 minutes. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are things that people who watch this show already knew. We were different from most people. We watched 1923 because it made the most sense for the channel. It's a great story that stands alone. You don't need to know everything else. Then we watched 1883 because Yellowstone is just big and we wanted to watch more, and it's good anyway, right? So it's a good show and there's a lot of love for it. So when we watched 1883, we realized that a couple of things from 1883 were covered in the opening narration of the first episode of 1923. So that a few things went a little bit too far in a few places right there. Then I watched an episode of Yellowstone Prime on like Peacock was free for a day or something. And when I watched it, there was people with last names of people from 1923 and 1883 who obviously only could have been part of the story if their characters survived. So that was like giving some stuff away too. So like Yellowstone Prime filled with spoilers potentially for these two stories. We saw them differently. 1923 first, 1883 next. There was minimum spoilage on 1883 because it was just in episode 1 and we watched 10 episodes of that before we rewound to this. The show so far that I like the best is 1923. This one is it's good and it's going to stay good, but this is a grim story. It's brutal and it's grim.
It is pretty. It's been grim so far, that's for sure. I don't know where they're going to go in the last 2 episodes because I haven't seen them. So
the positive aspects are, I guess, their bravery, their love of being in this new land, their love of their new freedom, and their willingness to now fight, and their born again heart as, much more formidable pioneers. But like again, they only because they've been sticking around the very worst part of Texas over and over. Just get out of there, guys. It's not safe by Dallas Fort Worth in 1883.
it's not safe by Dallas Fort Worth today.
Yeah, well,
Actually, it's worse today than it was back then.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was where things really started to go off the rails, and literally off the rails, because the railroad, even though we have railroad options, they get off the railroad there. At this point, doubling back from Frisco is an option too.
Huh.
If they'd just taken the train to Frisco, they'd have probably already made it there.
From Frisco, they only have like 700 to 1,100 miles to go, if I'm right. They still might have to cross some
A
mountains.
lot more mountains.
There's got to be a pass.
There is. It's the pass the Donner Party took.
Yeah.
You want to time? Okay, these people are not responsible enough to take that pass in the kind of time it takes to clear that without getting everybody deleted.
All they have to do is get to Truckee and they're to California, and then they're set. It's downhill from there. Then it's Reno, and then you go up from Reno, and they're good to go.
What's funny is it in like when you talk about the Donner Party, like all the people from England and Ireland will laugh because what we call kebabs, they call Donners. So it's like yeah. So like and like when where we go to Waffle Houses and diners and stuff like that, they go to the kebab place and they get Donners.
You mean to tell me you never scheduled reservations when you went to a restaurant and when they asked for your name, you never said Donner?
I have. I'm not going to say whether or not I haven't done that, but I've been to a Donner
party of 3, Donner party of 3, Donner party of 1.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can just squeeze you in there by the length of a thumb. It's like what do you have? Oh, finger sandwiches. But no, like a Donner party would be like a plate of like kebabs. And like whatever, after a night out drinking, that's what like Euros would do, and I found that out from some people that I.
And then they're wondering what all the Americans are snickering about.
Yeah, right. They don't. Well, they basically after a while that's so famous that they end up knowing. But we just watched episode 8 of 1883, and we're reacting to it. I thought that this was one of the more enjoyable episodes as far as everyone said. It's been pretty intense from episode 3, episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, and even episode 7 was almost unrelenting crazy stuff. There was a lot of carnage. We didn't do the best job of keeping track of how much time passed. The one thing we did do was the people who were important to our story, we checked in on them just about enough. We always had a good idea of what was going on with Thomas. We always had a really good idea of what was going on with Shay. We always knew where the people from the Dutton part of the wagon train were in relation to the other ones. We even knew where people like Cookie went. Like, we kept track of the different characters very well, maybe much better than we kept track of time. But time wasn't as much of a problem because everyone's going through it at the same rate. We didn't have people separated for more than a day or two at a time. So I give them bad time management, but really good, I guess, character management. We visit with every character.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this one. The Transcontinental Railroad. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So they easily could have, at this point, I'm looking at the Transcontinental Railway map that was shown to me by Radioactive. Maybe I can get it up on screen. So here's the continental United States for the Americans out there. You'll be very familiar with it. If you're not, the part of the map that consists of the United States is just, if you look at the extreme right side of the map, you'll see an island off the coast. That's America. The rest of this is, no, I'm just kidding. Here's a map of the United States. And that blue line is the western part of the Transcontinental Railroad. Because you could get to Chicago, and I'm guessing that's where you got to the part that goes through Nebraska. So
It does go right through Nebraska, yeah.
So we have the green. I don't see too much green on here. It's only in Cali, so that's added later. That's to get you to the okay. So that's to get stuff from the seaport that's going to grow there inland. That makes sense that was added later. The Union is the blue. The Pacific is the red. We had rail service all the way to the Mississippi, and a lot of it just beyond the Mississippi at the point of the Civil War. So this is finished, what, 1878 or something like that, 1876?
No, it was actually finished right after Civil War, about 1869.
Okay, so even earlier than I thought. So if they had gone by boat around South America and gone to San Francisco, they could have taken the train back across the mountains and then gone only through South Dakota. They would have been right there.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point, because once you get beyond the Cascades, okay, and the Cascade Range drops off right around where modern Truckee, California is, if you've ever gone that route on the interstate, and it's right there at the border of California, Nevada, right where the railroad shows there on that map. And so you drop down out of the Cascade Mountains, and then it's all this flat desert area, and then you go up into Idaho or northern Utah, and there's plenty of passes to get through that are pretty wide open. And then you just go right up through Idaho Falls, modern Idaho Falls, and Pocatello, and then you get to Dillon, Montana, and then you just head east, and you're there.
And this is by no means the only railroad in the whole world. They got by railroad to Dallas, Fort Worth. So what would have been a better idea was only take the railroad to Missouri and just go north. Or take the railroad to Nebraska.
That would have worked too.
This is not a route. This is not a map of the only railroads in America. This just shows that we could get all the way across. They could have taken the paddle boats up
the Mississippi, okay, and you would have you would have gone all the way up through Missouri there, and then once the Missouri breaks off from the Mississippi, that's when you would have cut across.
Got off at Iowa and caught across the hometown of the future birthplace of Captain Kirk.
There you go, exactly.
Do something like that. Yeah, be creative. No, you know what?
They would have met probably like James Kirk the First, right?
George Kirk,
George Kirk, right? And then that would have made more sense because then once they go to see George Kirk, and then they would have
Or Tiberius Kirk. That would
or
be
Tiberius.
even better.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, yeah.
Edward Tiberius Kirk.
You know what it would be is like Tiberius Kirk would be like part Guardian, part like you know what I mean. It would be like
There you go.
my mother's name was Marani. She was brought here by time traveling aliens from a planet just filled with Guardians.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is by no means the only railroads in America. They got to Dallas Fort Worth by railroad. This was a crazy. They started out in Kentucky. So, can you guys see the cursor? This is Kentucky. This
Yep,
is
we
where
see
they
it.
started. You see it?
Yep.
Yep.
So this is where they're from. They go here to get here. They live in Kentucky.
It's a
They
long
could
way out of
get-
the way there.
Yeah, there's a river that goes, like, you know, river boats that go to here. They're looking to get here. These are not the very smartest travelers. They opt to go, like,
Hey,
around,
T,
like,
you know, people are hating me right now for calling out all this geographic information. I just
oh, you
tried
know
to
what?
tell-
I think we've explained it well. We're the only Yellowstone reviewers who maybe have this angle on it. There's a lot of people who talk about Yellowstone, and we try to have a unique take on it. And man, 126 of you watching on X right now is flattering, and all 5 of you on YouTube, thank you too. The disparity is incredible. We'll be back later at like 7:30 to see what happens with this, but it's been an incredible trip through 1883. So what we said, this by no means the only railroads in America. This trip was just never well conceived, but it's been enjoyable. It was mandated by dialogue in the show Yellowstone. The show Yellowstone has concluded, but the thing is, the world of the characters of Yellowstone are going to continue later in 2025 in a show called The Madison. Taylor Sheridan had to probably get some people out of the show. Kevin Costner, notably, but like maybe a couple of the writers, to have the freedom to use the characters without having to share rights and everything else, or to minimize it at the very least, because he was not the only person. He now says co-creator of Yellowstone next to his name, so something went on, because I don't remember that being the case before. He has co-writers on a lot of these other shows. I watched Landman. It's pretty darn good, the one episode I watched. I can't really watch Yellowstone proper. I'll catch up to it. But I guess we're ready for episode 9 and 10. We're going to find out if these crazy Duttons can make it to the area of the Yellowstone Ranch, or if they're just going to end up like taking a helicopter at this point. It took such a long time, they're going to fly.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I know that everyone's got stuff going on. Germ, what's the rest of your night like?
I'll be on both Gorilla Censored Thoughts and Sci-Fi Sis Dan's streams tonight. Doing a review for Walton's season 4. I forget the episode at the moment, but Sis Dan on his Isekai channel be watching the show Overlord.
What is that one about?
Is that an anime?
Yeah, that's a Isekai anime.
That's a good anime. It's got 5 seasons, I think now. It's good. It's a good show.
Season 5, I believe, comes out next year.
Oh, okay. Then they've only done 4. It's only 4. It must have been yeah. No, but it's good. It's really,
They
really
did a
good.
movie this year instead of a season.
Oh, okay. I've not seen the movie. I only seen up to where they took over the kingdom of Orestes. Arantel? No, Orestes. Yeah, the city of Arantel. Yeah.
So, guys,
Yeah.
I recommend Sith Dan, his channel, and Germ's channel are in my channel recommends tab at the bottom of my front channel page. You can sub to them there, and you should. You should sub to both of them. Anything else?
Yeah, tomorrow morning, by special request, Saturday morning cartoons, we'll be watching Wild Thornberries, The Origin of Donnie.
I used to watch that with my niece. Cool. And hi, Trek Reviewer. It's good to see you. Sorry I'm a little bit late on that one. We were watching what I have to say was a pretty banging episode of 1883. I enjoyed it. Wes Cagle, what's on your broadcast schedule? You guesting around anywhere?
Well, starting at 8:30, I'll be in the chat with everybody else, having a good old time over there at DC's at Doomcock's Friday Night Frolics, and then about 10 o'clock, I cut out for a little bit to hang out with Dadman on his panel, and then back over to Friday Night Frolics for the rest of the fun. So that's about it.
But will you listen to my show at 7:30 for a while?
Oh, sure.
Cool. All right. Excellent. And Radioactive, we know that you are at your secret undisclosed location. Anything you would like us to know, or any information you'd like to pass on, or any final thoughts on Yellowstone?
Yellowstone, it's still an engaging show, even despite all the geographic challenges.
Yeah, again, they're going to do a little bit to help that in episode 9 and 10, which I would call the damage control and payoff of the story. And I guess they rely on a little Yellowstone knowledge that we don't know. So I have just a couple of questions at the end, but I want to thank everybody who is here. I'll be back in 2 hours. Admiral Teague has just begun his broadcast weekend, where it all comes together tomorrow, where we will have what I think will be possibly the most incredible watch party, quite possibly in the history of Star Trek. I think the watch party for Enterprise is going to probably be one of the most bigly watch parties ever seen in the history of YouTube. And I think anyone doing themselves the injustice of missing it was just like, you want to be there, folks. Trust me. This is one of the best things you get. It doesn't get better than this. Okay. We have a great watch party for you for Enterprise. It's a great episode. Minefield. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's a pretty good episode. Get a lot of character work for Malcolm.
We do get a lot of character work for Malcolm, and he's very likable in this one. He's not as standoffish and shallow as he has been in the past, but he does stay true to the traits that we put on him. So we're not messing with what we've had before. We're just like, we're finally refining it, and I guess I don't know if this means that they realized they hadn't pulled it off before, or this was planned to happen now. It seems like any character would need an episode about this often anyway, so I don't know. Does this mean that Mr. Reed is tracking to you?
He's starting to. We just need them to get poor Mayweather tracking now.
Well, there's still plenty of good episodes left. There's still a lot of good Enterprise to go. Unfortunately, you've already reached the high watermark with shirtless Hoshi. So, unfortunately,
we haven't got there. We've got like bare midriff Hoshi like 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah,
Team Hoshi is in the lead now that she has her cameo intro. Team Hoshi is definitely in the lead. So Team DePaul's got to step it up.
We can play that right now, and everybody could tell us just from the sense. We do 1883, 1923. We'll probably do Yellowstone. We're absolutely doing 1923 season 2. That's on the calendar. You can see it here. You can enjoy it with us. We love Yellowstone. It's a great show. And we also do Star Trek. So this is the final iteration. It took a couple of tries, but this is the intro to our Star Trek show. Check it out.
Incoming transmission.
Welcome to Saving Star Trek, a show talking about one of my favorite shows, Enterprise. I am Linda Park. I play Hoshi Sato and also Empress Sato. So enjoy this show. I love that it's finding a whole new life on the streaming services. And you better hit that like button, or Empress Sato will not be happy. I mean, she could make a storm happen, and she could really make your life hard. Anyways, enjoy the show, hit that like button, and thank you for being a fan of Enterprise.
I think she still looks beautiful.
Yeah, definitely.
And she was sweet. By the way, she mostly wrote that herself. She just got basic instruction on how what the show was about, and like I think we'll find out from Sean what it was like to write for Linda Park. Right? Does that now make Sean Carter a Star Trek writer? He's the only person I know who's written for both a Star Trek actor and Overlord DVD. Right?
Then more qualified into one.
There you go.
Actually doing it now.
But like he's part of our pitch to get the story group to be the story group for the next Star Trek show. It's like just
The
let
next
us do it.
You
Just
mean
let
the
us
one
do it.
after Trek 1883?
Yeah, right. We're gonna do the Yellowstone NCC 1923.2. Season 2 of 1923 is the last season of 1923. I don't think there's much they can spoil. I don't know. I want to binge Yellowstone, but since 1923 is right around the corner, maybe the time for that is in preparation for getting into the Madison. But there's 50 episodes of Yellowstone. Meanwhile, like Landman marches forward, Tulsa King marches forward. It's like this Taylor Sheridan world is the world that will help us be able to have like better and more Star Trek watch parties, because it'll add people to the channel. It gets people watching the videos, and it does get some people watching the older Star Trek that we love to promote. But you know, we are a Yellowstone channel. We're committed to it. Just right now, Yellowstone Prime is the show we're weakest on. At this point, I've seen all Yellowstone from the 2 spin-off shows. Whether or not Lawman, Bass Reed, and shows like Lioness are somehow related to the Yellowstone world, whether this world that they're in is shared, it's beyond me. My advice would be don't cross them over. Lioness might still fall apart. You had to swap out some of the people already. Like, it was only saved by like the skin of its teeth. And you know, to the people who said to me that I was wrong, that Nicole Kidman wasn't big enough, was too big to be on Paramount Plus, she already was on Paramount Plus. She's so big you didn't even know about it while you're defending her. And then she's so big, so much bigger than Paramount Plus that her Paramount Plus show failed while others flourished. Sounds like some people who attack me had their facts wrong. But it was good to see everybody for a great watch party at Yellowstone. Hit the like and follow buttons, and if you come through later, I would really appreciate it if you left a comment. Let us know how much you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time here on Admiral Teague's Star Trek and Yellowstone show. Let's see, Star Trek 1883 opening. Oh yeah, we have to start the next episode with this one. 1883, Open Range, the final Western frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Yellowstone. I would have differed with this part. Instead of a 1-year mission, it's like it's indeterminate length mission to explore the area around Dallas, Fort Worth at great length and excruciating pains. Seek out strange wildlife and new native civilizations. To boldly go where no Westerner has gone before. We've got most of it. I like it. It's going to be fun. Hey, guys, thank you for being here for Yellowstone. Hit the like and follow, and I'll be back in a couple hours to say hi to all of you and say hello to everyone to end out the week and set up tomorrow's Enterprise Watch Party, which should be a blast. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. You certainly have earned your little dose here of beautiful Sydney Sweeney. But first, let's hear from George Lucas.
Do you want the Star Wars trilogy and the mythology to go beyond your lifetime?
No. 3 will be the last film, and it'll be a 6-part series, and that'll be the end of it.
Incorrect.
You're not mentoring someone to take over for you?
No, it's...
Automatic defense procedures initiated.
There may be other venues for it, but not in the theatrical release.
Affirmative.
I don't want to have it just sort of turn into Star Trek. I don't want to have it just sort of turn into Star Trek.
I love you all, and I'll see you in 2.5 hours. Bye.